Welcome to the Forensic Cop Podcast.
Manchester United 0, Liverpool 5. That just feels good to say.
It really does, especially because Manchester United goes first being at Old Trafford. That's, it's a historic win. But I'll be honest, I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised how bad it was, but I'm not surprised we won walking away.
I'm surprised that Solskjaer actually took the bait and set his team up that way. I mean, it's unbelievable that the way they've been playing this past, 6 games, he just took that same formation right into Liverpool's hands and said, "Here you go."
Well,
drive through our midfield, harry our
I'm
defenders, right, and
I'm
pressure.
actually going to disagree a bit because I actually think he did make a change, and it was absolutely the wrong change. Because if you looked at the Atalanta game, they were not pressing at all. And they turned around and said, okay, that's not going to work against Liverpool. We need to press. But here's the thing. If you haven't been doing that and you haven't been training that, don't try to get your players to do it because they're going to do it badly like we saw today. There would be a press and you wouldn't just get past the press. You would actually create a chance off a terrible press. So I actually think they should have gone with their usual, just sit back and give them time. Because the pressing they were doing today was hurtful. Like, right. I mean, they should have known that, the garbage game they brought to Atalanta, they weren't getting out of that hole when they brought it here.
I've been saying ever since Solskjaer took over, I just don't understand what I'm watching whenever I watch Manchester United. I don't know if they're crap, if they're bad players under a bad coach, good players under a bad coach, bad players under a good coach. I don't understand what I'm watching because their play is not really, it's not terrible. They clearly know what they're doing, but ultimately there's no system, it seems. However, if you just watch them in clips, it looks like there is a system. So they're obviously training for something, right? However, it just doesn't translate into the real game, and it must be bad coaching, but clearly it's obvious for all of us to see from the outside looking in. I'm sure they must be seeing that too internally, no?
So, I mean, you already know my opinion, which is, well, not about this game. I'll give you my opinion about this game. I'm a little upset that we won so heavily because I want to see Solskjaer stay as long as possible because he is a bad coach. From all I've heard, all of the interviews with him and with the players, he talks a lot about giving players freedom. And I think what you're seeing and what you saw today is he gives them freedom. So, with Klopp, he would rather destroy a player like Keita than let him play his game. With Solskjaer, he'd rather lose every game than tell a guy where to be. And now we're seeing him lose the games because these guys don't know where they are. I think the nice plays you see are brilliant players who, let's face it, their team has, world-class players. Like, let's be honest, they're very, very good players. So yeah, they'll link up well periodically, but not over a 90-minute game and not over a full season.
Yeah. And when they're on the ball, they look, at least to me, they look decent, right? And even when they're passing it sideways and they're not being incisive, it's not unbearable. I think the reason why their fans kind of get frustrated is because they know that nothing's going to come of it. However, when you're watching it in isolation, it doesn't look too bad. When they're sitting back and waiting to hit you on the counter, it's not too bad because obviously you have all the men behind the ball. But it's when they're not doing either of those two, it's as if they just haven't even bothered trying to create a system for how do you defend without sitting back. They have no clue.
I would say even when they sit back, it's bad because, who doesn't know Salah's going to come down the side? And who doesn't know that you can't give Alexander-Arnold room? Like, their wings should have been much further out. and they just weren't. So, I mean, it's even when they were back, they were exposed. It was truly astounding. I guess the other one is, and this is the big question. So I know Solskjaer is a bad coach, but my real question today in this particular game is when they, like, the players were lazy. They did not get back to cover their man. Bruno Fernandes was at fault for at least one goal. He just didn't even bother marking. Was that the coach saying, stay in position so we can counterattack? Was that the player knowing he's supposed to come back but not? Or was that just nobody ever bothered even telling the player, you need to come back? That's my question.
And that's exactly my point. I refuse to accept that they're not being told how to play in those situations, right? But that's what it looks like, because it's a great point. You would assume that in that situation, Bruno Fernandes would know what he's supposed to do or what he's being told to do, and he's not being lazy, because he's not a lazy player. But I just refuse to accept that. I mean, if you and I, who have never coached in our lives, can see this, clearly they must be able to see this within the coaching staff at Manchester United. And let's be honest, Ole is the manager; he's not the coach, right? So they do have proper coaches around him, but I just don't understand what I'm watching when I see them.
You know what the thing is? Here's what I'll say. I I'm with you. Normally I would say, of course the player knows what he's doing. But it may just be lazy, because the truth is, and I'll pick on him. We'll come to his play later, but Pogba in general is a brilliant player who frankly looks like he just doesn't care, like 80% of the time. When he plays for France, he's a completely different player.
Um,
So that is
so
concerning to me, because I think he
so
cares in one case and doesn't care in the other.
so whether or not he cares in one case and not the other, that obviously I have no insight into his mind. However, I had been paying more attention to him when he plays for France, because I wanted to just check that out for myself, and he does play the same way. It's just that, just like when he was at Juventus, he's surrounded by higher quality players that can kind of carry him playing in a lazy fashion, right? However, Manchester United, if he's lazy on the ball, playing casually, who's around him that will be able to pick up the slack with quality?
Well,
McTominay
well,
and Fred are, yeah, they're grafters, but they don't have the quality, right? Bruno is an attacker, so that's the problem with Pogba at Manchester United. But
so
he
I,
plays the same way
I
for France, quite frankly.
so I've felt that he drifts less in games. So, like, I've literally seen him drift full games for Man U, and I feel like with France he's more engaged more often. But I mean that's fine. But regardless, I look at a guy like Pogba and I say, Man U is working and wants to keep him and is offering him contracts. A guy who frankly seems that disinterested and isn't getting back and all that, if he's your highest earner, which he was before Ronaldo came, that sets the tone for the team. So maybe his lack of work ethic and lack of distance covered, apparently Man U has the least amount of distance covered in the league right now. I think that just sets the tone, and maybe it's bringing other players down. Because to your point, Bruno Fernandes isn't a lazy guy, but I mean, he's looking and he's like, this guy's paid more than me and he's, given more than me. So why am I killing myself? Where at Liverpool, you see a guy like Hendo who busts a gut up and down the field every day while he's still yelling at you to run harder. And, leading by example goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, we could wax lyrically about how bad Man U is for a long time, but what I will say is, and we had these conversations last year, is the last season where they finished in second place, they got a lot of lucky breaks. They got a lot of deflection goals, a lot of late mistakes from other teams. I felt like their record was a bit of a smokescreen for just how bad they were. And I think what we're seeing now is how bad they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we played this game last season and we were up 2-0, there's every possibility that they could have come back, right? Because our players weren't as sharp and as fresh as they are this season. And or if they were playing another team and they were down 2-0, there's every possibility that they can come back. But when you're playing a team like Manchester City, Liverpool, and I'm actually not going to put Chelsea there yet, but Manchester City and Liverpool, you cannot play the way they've been playing and expect to just pull it out of the hat again.
But I mean, again, they will win games just because of their talent. They can pull it out of the hat.
Absolutely right. And if that's what they want to resort to, then yeah, to your point, long may continue. I'm okay with them winning games here and there, finishing third, fourth, even second, forever. I mean, no problem at all.
I mean, look, and the best one was Ronaldo's goal, which was taken back by VAR. That was purely an individual effort.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
not a team thing. It was not you know, drilled by the coach thing. It was nothing like that. It was all, we have massively talented guys who can produce a moment of magic, much like Salah can do for us. They've got a number of guys who can do that.
Yeah, the only concern that I have, and we'll move on to Liverpool right after this, but the only concern I have is they are set up very nicely for a proper manager to come in, add a few pieces at the back, and then they're good to go. And also in the central midfield, and they're good to go.
So I would actually have gone the other way. I think they have a lot of players who are so different that you can't have like the Liverpool mix and like not mix and match, but the Liverpool plug a guy in and you play the exact same way. So I mean, getting back to Liverpool, but comparing them to Man U, remember last year when we were talking and Liverpool was losing, and I was like, you know what, we need to abandon this new mode that we have with the high line. We need to play heavy metal football again, all of that. And Klopp was just like, no, this is our system. This is how we play. And even if the players aren't the exact right ones for it, we're still going to play that way. I feel like Man U and a new coach who comes in can't do that because their players are
Um,
very different.
they're very different, but they have a core that's very coachable, right? So up front, Sancho, Greenwood, Rashford, um, Fernandez are all very coachable, right? I'm not even going to
That's
include
true.
Cavani and Ronaldo because I think they do need to get another striker, like a proper striker, younger striker. But the pieces they have around there, they're all young and impressionable and coachable. And then in the midfield, yeah, they have to get a proper holding midfielder, get rid of Pogba, and then at the back they have to get a proper defender, not Harry Maguire. He's okay, but he should not be your best defender. If he's your best
Wow.
defender, then that's a problem.
I mean, he looked bad last game, but how bad did he look today? So the game against Atlanta, he looked bad. But today, he just, I mean, wow, he was bad. I'm
Yeah,
I'm I'm where you're like he's a good defender but he shouldn't be your best one. Today he didn't even look close to good.
because he was trying to be the captain, which he is for some reason, right? Let's
That
just
one's
say that
true.
yeah, if he was playing next to Van Dijk, he'd know his role. He'd know, okay, Van Dijk is a man. I'm just here to pick up the pieces, and then he'd be okay with that, right? But when he's expected to be the Van Dijk version at Manchester United, that's a problem.
Do you think maybe playing against Van Dijk today kind of played in his head?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all
Because
because
how can he not be compared to Van Dijk, right?
right,
Big team, two big teams, Liverpool, Man U, go out to get the most expensive defender ever bought. We got Van Dijk, then they went and paid a bit more for Maguire. So they both have the most expensive one at the time. It's inevitable you compare them. Maybe that played in his head today, but yeah, he just looked terrible. I
and for a club with so much um expendable money, they can easily pull out 100k, sorry, 100 million, 100k, 100 million for a player if they chose. Their recruiting and scouting is quite poor, right? Jadon Sancho is a great player, but if you're not going to play him and you don't need him, why didn't you spend that money on, say, Calvin Phillips or a proper defender or a proper striker, right? I just don't understand that club.
I like what I would say is I feel like when Liverpool recruits, they have a plan for you. They know what they're getting. They know what they're going to do with you. I think Jadon Sancho is a perfect example of they had no plan and they didn't know what they were going to do.
And they didn't need
And
him.
and they didn't need him. Like what does he bring to the team? And again, he's young, so they might need him in 2-3 years, but I'm sorry, like you need to win now. You're supposed to be a big team that can do well. So
The only thing that would make sense is they know that Ollie is just a stopgap, right? And he has improved them. He's kind of brought them. I mean, under Mourinho, they were going nowhere, right? Now, at least they are starting to pretend as if they're a big club again, at least, right? So I wonder if they accept that he's a stopgap for a couple seasons until maybe have a particular coach in mind who will become available, and then all these players that they're buying will still be relatively young, and they hand it over to him. So maybe their directive to Ollie has been just, make sure we're in the Champions League every season, and then you'll have a job for 4 years.
I mean, if they told Ollie that and he took it, that's horrible. But what I would say is, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they win something with Mourinho?
They did. They won the Europa League and they won another. They won
FA Cup?
Yeah, either the FA Cup or the other one.
Yeah.
I think maybe the FA Cup.
So criticize Mourinho all you want, and boy, does he deserve it. But are they better under Solskjaer? I mean, don't get me wrong. They were a train wreck by the end of Mourinho, but he at least won something in 3 years.
True. And his issue was recruitment again. I don't know if he was the one picking the players or if they were just picking players for him, but they were just buying odd players. That was my only concern there. And it wasn't until Ollie came in that they were at least targeting decent players, even if they didn't quite fit into the system. But at least like Fernandes, Sancho, these are all okay players. Even Harry Maguire, he's an okay player, right? Prior to that, under Mourinho, they were buying some strange players.
Well, but you know what? Like, in a way, I kind of feel, and maybe I'm crazy, but I kind of feel like the strange players are the way you want to go. Because, like, let's really think about, how Liverpool has recruited. Jota, that was the move nobody saw coming. Nobody was talking about it. He was on nobody's lips. It was nothing. Then you look at Fabinho. We were all in shock about that. We saw someone we knew we needed in that position, so we went and got him. But it wasn't, right? But then you look at what Man U does, and they're like, Jadon Sancho's name's been everywhere in the news. Bruno Fernandes' name's everywhere in the news. Maguire's everywhere in the news. Like, they're basically going with guys that are getting press.
Actually, that's true. And even Ronaldo, I think the only reason they went for him is because they didn't want him to go to Man City.
Oh, he totally played them. He was not going to Man City. But I kind of look at it and I feel like they recruit based on the number of clicks that a player has, as opposed to, how that player is or how they fit. Because, and Sancho's a great example. Why would you get him?
Right.
Varane too. What on earth was that about?
And do you remember when Alexis Sanchez went there?
Oh, yes.
Right. That was a prime example of what was that about, right? How much money did they spend on that entire transaction? Sending him on loan, paying his fees while he was on loan, just because Manchester City wanted him. The same with Maguire too. It was because Manchester City wanted him.
God, I wish they would have gotten him, eh? Because, they would have had the money to pay for someone else too anyway.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
They've spent over 400 million pounds on their back line in like 5 years.
And I wouldn't trade any of them for ours.
Nope.
Except maybe Kyle Walker as a backup to Trent. as a backup to Trent. I said.
I don't know. You know what? We don't play him a lot, but I really like Neco Williams.
I do. He it's too bad because what he needs is he needs a season on loan to kind of improve as a player in his in-game decision making. However, we still need a backup for Trent. So if we send him on loan, who's going to back him up? And it can't be Gomez.
Well, speaking of that, so as we get into the game,
yes.
So Milner injury most. I mean, if I had taken the time to think about it, that was going to be the most obvious thing to happen. This was his 5th game in a row in a Liverpool jersey, which he's never done before. So really not surprised that he's injured. The Keita injury, we're getting into the season now. We're going to be at the point where we're going to have to move defenders to midfield. And last year we moved midfielders to defense. Like we don't have a lot left.
No, we really don't. Who's out? So Thiago's out, Keita's out, Milner's out, Elliott's out. There's one more I'm forgetting, I think. Or is that it?
That might be it. But so Matip, I don't know, was Matip injured? Is that why he didn't play?
I think there was a slight injury concern, I think there was a slight injury concern. But
I mean,
probably very minor.
I kind of looked at it and I hoped that they were like, oh, he's not going to play because it's been too many games in a row and we don't want him to get injured.
I think he's over that, right? So I think last season they admitted that they played him while he was injured. He never had time to properly heal. And in preseason, you could kind of tell he looked a little bit more muscular, and so I think he's over those niggles. But clearly, the way Konate played, they must have seen that he's ready to step in. So yeah, okay, why not give Matip a break?
So I mean, big question here: did Konate just jump Gomez?
Yes.
Whew.
Yes.
So first of all, Konate is a man. Yes. Holy jeez, he's a big guy. Like, I don't think he's taller than Van Dijk, but he is definitely more imposing.
He's he what, 22? I think
he's in around there.
Yeah. No, I think
22. Yeah.
22. Yeah. He yeah. To answer your question, yes, Gomez is now officially 4th choice, and I think we'll be seeing him more at right back, if anything else.
Well, I mean, we might see him at right back if we lose another midfielder and Trent needs to go into the midfield.
Yeah, or I actually wouldn't mind seeing Gomez in midfield. I'd be curious to see what that looks like. In fact, I almost hope Klopp, because we play Preston next in the League Cup on Wednesday. I wouldn't mind seeing what he looks like in the midfield as a holding midfielder.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because with his speed, he would be able to be up and recover quickly.
Right. And he does have reasonable footwork, and really the way we play, that's all you kind of, not that that's all you kind of need, but that's the main focus. Either that or even seeing him in the genie role would be interesting.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the genie role, because I actually thought that when Curtis Jones came in, he almost took over the genie role in some ways, because I noticed a few times when we were going up, he really just slowed it down.
Right.
Slowed it down, held the ball, turned it around, passed it back. Instead of letting the break continue, he definitely took that role that Genie had, which is hold the ball up, let's keep possession. So I noticed that. I feel bad for him. He's such a good player, and he's only coming on when other guys are getting injured.
He'll have his opportunity clearly this season, and he was injured too, right? Otherwise, he probably would have started one of the last games.
Yeah, I assume Klopp would have wanted to bring him on at 30 minutes today, at 60 minutes, not at 30 minutes. But I mean, with Milner's injury. Okay, so let's go through the goals. That first goal.
Which one was the first one again? I really forgot.
The Keita goal.
Yeah. I mean, we've already spent time talking about Manchester United, so let's talk about it from a Liverpool perspective because I was just terrible defending, ridiculous defending. But the first thing that struck me was, and again, not to harp on Genie, but that's an example of what it looks like to help your attackers as a midfielder, right? The fact that he was in that position to finish that off and to just roll it into the net is probably something that we wouldn't have seen from Genie, probably under Klopp's instructions. So it was nice for him to be in that situation. His second goal in a row, third goal this season.
And he went
And
for another one, eh? Another long
yes,
ball off a
yes, I saw
corner.
that. Right.
Ooh, I was really hoping for that.
Yeah, and it reminds me of those are goals that he scored regularly for Leipzig. So he's obviously I think we all kind of forgot that's something that he's very good at.
The volley.
The volley, the looping volley.
Well, I mean, so what I will say about him is beautiful goal, fantastic finish. But I actually thought he wasn't the best going back today. I thought he was not good at all against Atletico Madrid. He was exposed for sure. And today I didn't think he looked great either coming back. Even though, it's not like Man U did a lot of attacking, but I'm a bit concerned about him defensively. But going forward, wow, does he add a new dimension to our team?
Yeah, it's kind of like Shaq, right? There's a way that you can build a team around him and he'll excel, but you wonder where he fits into our system on a regular basis.
Yeah, like he fits in your system when you're playing a team that's going to sit back and soak up the pressure,
Right.
and you need a moment of brilliance.
Yeah, exactly.
Or when a lot of other guys are injured and you have to play him like today. But sorry, man, I got to be honest here. That's what it was. Let's be honest. But on a regular basis, I just is again, what I would say is I am so excited for Jones because he's watching Keita play. He's watching Thiago play. He's learning how to go forward. Like, wow. And then at the same time, he's watching Fabinho play. He watched Genie play. He is going to be just a complete stud of a player.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he has the highest ceiling of all our younger players, mostly because of his physique. Harvey Elliott is more skillful. However, yeah, Jones has everything.
He's smaller.
Yeah, Jones can be
Elliott
whatever he wants
is
to be.
yeah. Where Elliott, like I could see Jones in like 7 positions on the field. I think Elliott's good for 2 or 3 maybe.
Right.
I mean, so that was a fabulous goal. The second one,
I wanted to add that there's probably no one else on the field that I'd wanted that position with a 1-on-1 on the goalie. Mane would have fluffed that.
So I got to be honest, and this is me being mean, I guess. I'm just thinking back to last year and thinking, yeah, we would have found a way to not score that.
Yeah, exactly. Firmino would have put it away too, but he's never in that position.
So you know what? I mean, he got his hat trick. And I'll be honest, that hat trick, I know Firmino got the game ball. I would have given it to Jota.
Right.
Because Firmino is actually in front of the net, and it's all because of Jota. Because he's like, oh, right, I can play up front. I think he's been coming deep so long that he'd forgotten what it was to be a number 9.
And he did that in this game too. He was playing really, really deep. But going on to Jota, he scored the second goal. What do you think?
He did. I mean, just beautiful. Again, set up by Keita.
Yes.
Right? The pass from Keita to Alexander-Arnold. So he's, he sees it well. The other thing that I really like about Keita on his passes is, and I think this is very underrated, is he doesn't pass it too early or too late.
Right.
He waits. He knows that you make the defender commit. And a commit doesn't need to be a huge thing. It's just you make him take a quick break from his run so that he comes towards you. And all of a sudden you've opened up a player. And so that's what he did to Alexander Arnold. He really gave him the room by holding it just that extra second longer. And although it would have been fun to see if Milner had scored, if Jota wasn't there, Milner would have gotten it.
Almost left it. I don't think he would have.
It would have been hard to miss, though. And Milner's hot. Didn't he score last game?
Did he? Oh, well, no, I think they gave it to Salah.
Oh, that's right. They gave it to Salah. Okay, so then he's not
They gave
hot.
it to
He's-
Milner for about 10 minutes, and then they gave
Right.
it back to Salah.
So I take it back. Milner's not hot. He's hungry.
Yeah.
So he would have scored. I don't know. You're right. He probably would have missed it, but
And
But
going
that's
back to your point about him, right now he's 35, so he's house money. If you can
Oh,
play
yeah.
him for 4, 5, 6 games in a row, just do it, and then he'll get injured, and then you give him a break. Then, right? So, I have no problems whatsoever with the fact that this was his 5th start in a row.
so I'm okay with that until Keita got injured. Because now you're talking Ox is going to get time.
Yeah, but who else would you have played today? Jones was coming off an injury too, right?
Yeah, that's true. No, we didn't. We really didn't have much. Our bench was very shallow. That's one good thing about us, that we don't carry a lot of players. It's not like, Man City or Man U who've got like 20 guys.
Yeah, Chelsea.
We just don't. And Chelsea, yeah, we just don't. Our bench is not very deep. Like realistically on our bench, we had for midfield, Origi, Minamino are up front. Mane is up front. So we had 3 forwards, 3 defenders, and we had Ox and Jones. So you're right. There was nobody to play but Milner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a bit of a bind there. So that was the second goal. Third goal, it was Salah getting oh yeah, the third goal was the one that's
was it from Trent?
Yeah, the third goal was the one that came off of the run across, and then Salah took the shot and got the deflection. Remember where he made the little flick to Firmino? Firmino went to Jota back to Salah. Salah took the shot, it bounced over to Alexander Arnold, over to Keita.
Yes, and then
right. Yeah. The one thing I didn't hear any commentators talking about was, okay, we got lucky on the shot, which is fine. But when you look at the player reactions when that ball ricochets, Salah is hungry for the ball, and the Man U defenders were not.
Right. I know.
And it wasn't even that they were thinking or looking where it was. They were just like, okay. And because the truth is, it was an easy goal, sure. And it was a good pass from Keita and all that. But there were 2 or 3 guys who should have beaten Salah down there. And they just didn't move. It's mind-blowing. They basically started running when they saw Salah go by them. And at that point, why bother running? You've already lost the race. So, I mean, good on Salah for being hungry. Keita, great pass. But just, wow, no desire to get to the ball.
Yeah, and on Salah, we do have to give him credit because we have been pretty harsh on him for the past couple seasons.
I have been killing him.
Yeah, something has switched this season or these last 5-6 games where he really is looking hungry and potent and not overthinking. Like the fact that he took that on his right foot, right? Where in previous seasons he would have just found a way to wait until went onto his left and then taken a shot. Right? He's just like in no nonsense mode right now.
Yeah, his confidence is up. He believes he can score with either foot. And to your point, he's not overthinking it.
Right.
And it's made a huge difference. And yeah, I've been crushing him for being unable to finish. But I think this was his 10th game in a row that he scored.
Yes.
and he's now got 15 goals out of 12 games in the EPL this year. So,
Plus
what
at
more
least
can you say?
5 or 6 assists.
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. His goals are not coming at the expense of being greedy.
Right. Yeah,
It
he's just all round.
yeah, he seems the front line seems to have rediscovered it.
The only annoying thing right now is, so we're entering into November, right? So we have less than 2 more months. Well, we have about 2 more months of this, and then he has to go away for about a month.
That's annoying.
This is not the season for him to go anywhere. He needs to continue like this until the end of the season, because he's on track to have a standout season and to win us this title single-handedly.
Well, so two things. One is, or three things. One is he leaves, we lose his production. That's a problem. I don't like it. Two is I am genuinely concerned when he goes away, will he come back in the same form?
Exactly.
But three is for him. If I were Salah right now, and I know this is crazy and what do I know? And I don't love my country or something, but he has a chance to put up numbers that may never be matched. Like he's going to lose 3 games? That I don't know. If I were him,
I'm hearing now it's maybe up to 6, or 8. So it's a little bit confusing right now as to how many that they'll actually miss. Mane.
Oh, right, because if he leaves for like early training or something.
Yeah, so they have to leave right after Boxing Day and don't come back potentially until February.
Yeah, if he goes all the way, but think about it. Say he misses even 5 games. That could be like 5 goals. And if at the end of the season he's looking at 30 goals or something,
right,
or 35, he could set a record at that's going to stand forever, and he's not going to get it just because he leaves.
Yeah.
So
there's zero chance of him not going. Number one, because I know he loves his country, and number two, he loves the Egyptian fans, and he would not want to let them down.
So I totally agree with that. It's just, I mean, to your point, it really sucks that this is the season that he's, playing like this, and he's going to have to leave.
Right.
It really does suck. But I mean, his second goal was the one right before the half.
Quality.
Just
quality
what a quality clinical finish. I'm surprised.
Until I saw the second angle and how tight, yeah, that was just a thing of beauty. One touch right into the post, slotting it right there without even thinking. Again, he's not overthinking.
Yeah, that one was a goal scorer's goal because De Gea played it well, and De Gea was close.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, Salah didn't blast it, so he got in the right spot, but he didn't pass it into the corner. He shot it.
Right.
And that's the only thing that would have gotten by, and wow.
Was it 1-0 or 0-0 where Salah missed that one-on-one with De Gea, where he hit it right into his chest instead of in between his legs?
Oh, I think it was 1 at least.
1, okay.
Definitely we had a goal. It might have been 1-0 or 2-0, okay. But
that's the type of miss that we were getting from him, a 0-0 for the past year.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, so I just looked it up right now. Salah actually holds the most goals in an EPL season with 32 back in 2017-18.
He's tied, right?
No, Suarez and Ronaldo and Shearer are tied for second with 31.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But here's the thing. He's at 15 goals through 12 games.
No, he only has 10. You're talking about EPL.
Oh, I'm talking about EPL. Maybe it's less. You're right.
He only has 10 in EPL, but still. So how many have they played? 9 or 10? I think they've played 9 games.
They've played, 9.
That's less than a quarter way through.
That's less than a quarter of the way through.
So at this rate, yeah, he could be. He's well on track to beat that. Plus, had how clinical he is. I mean, I can see him scoring hat tricks against a lot of teams, right? Starting with Brighton on Saturday.
Yeah, like it would only take one or two big games to put that 32 goals at jeopardy.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, it's too bad we're losing him. I mean, let's get to the second half. It was clear in the second half that we kind of started shutting it down. We were not really going hard. It was
Well,
clear that we
it was after the injury. I think after the fifth goal, they wanted to continue going, but once Keita got injured and we made the change, I think it was clear that they're just going to play it out.
well, let me ask you before we get to that injury. What did you think of Ronaldo on
Jones,
on Jones?
that's a red.
That's so you know what? I
I,
saw that he
I don't
kicked the
understand.
ball. It doesn't
Yeah,
even matter.
yeah. I was surprised by the commentators that they were like, "Oh no, he kicked the ball. It's okay." No, I knew he kicked the ball, but you can't do that. You can't just kick the guy's on the floor. The referee is blown, and you kick the ball right into his guts. You can't do that,
Like
right?
like the whistle. So first of all, you kick the ball after the whistle is an automatic yellow.
Right.
You kick the ball after the whistle, literally hitting a guy is an
With
automatic red,
Yeah, and
right?
with intent, you could see it was just anger, right?
Like say for example, the ref had blown the whistle and Jota's walking away and Ronaldo blasts the ball right off, or sorry, Jones is walking away and Ronaldo blasts the ball right at him.
Right.
That's an automatic red.
Yeah.
So why is it not an automatic red when
Exactly.
it's the ball's right there? That's one. Two, if you're gonna say no, it's not fine. The first tackle that took him down was a yellow. Kicking the
Mm,
ball was another yellow. Take your
right.
pick how you want it. That's a red.
That's a red.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
and
I'm
and
I'm
he knew that too. You could tell when he was
yeah.
walking away. He knew that he was off. He already knew that he was getting a red.
Oh yeah.
Right.
He's like, I'm done here. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
be part of this.
So
So
hmm.
I mean, that was surprising. Then the
I guess I would say it's probably one of those things where it's the quote unquote rules of the game, right? So even if we all agree it should be a red, I think maybe according to the rules, the fact that he hit the ball, regardless of if there was intent or not, it's a yellow. So anyway, but we can move on to your next point.
so the next one was the Pogba foul. I mean, was he so I know 100% Cristiano Ronaldo's intent was there. Do
Yes.
you think Pogba was going for the foot for the shin?
No, no, he was trying to tackle. Yeah,
I mean,
he was trying.
horrible tackle.
Yeah, he was trying to because he came on as a sub. He was probably given clear instructions to be a bit aggressive, and you know, and that's not his game. Like we discussed at the start of the podcast, that's not his game to be aggressive and to be sliding around like that. His is just to mosey around and then pick out nice passes here and there, take some really cool shots. So yeah, there was no intent there, but again, according to the rules of the game, you can't tackle like
You totally summed up Pogba and his whole career
that.
in like a brief statement. Mosey around and take some cool shots.
Pretty much, right?
That's all I would add is you're missing the spectacular passes, and you're
Yes,
there
right.
because he does make some really fabulous passes, like cross field passes, down the field passes. But you're right, that is literally the definition of Pogba. Very, very nice. I like that. Um,
Thank you.
I don't know on Keita. All I would say is at least he had his foot in the air. If his
Yeah,
foot had been down on the ground, we're probably talking ligament damage.
absolutely.
In the
I
air,
think,
I'm hoping not.
yeah, if it was anyone else, like if that were, well, actually, not anyone else. Yeah, if that were Genie, then you'd say he'll be fine in a couple games because it looks
Oh
like it was
yeah,
just his shin and he just needs to rest it off. But you never know with Keita.
it's true. So hopefully he's okay. But that was one where I can see like the reaction from Pogba was not good. Like he knew he'd hurt him, but it was not the reaction of Ronaldo who was like ready to walk
No,
off.
yeah, the Ronaldo was, yeah, the fact that that was not a red or even questioned to be a red, even after seeing that he got the ball, confused me. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't kick a guy in the guts with that force after the whistle, even if you're hitting the ball. I mean, what's your intent? What are you trying to do by doing that? Right.
yeah. Although, what we can talk about, which I haven't heard many people talk about because there's so much other stuff in the game that everybody's talked about, but to me this is more fun, is the reaction after the plays. So after Jones took the kick from Ronaldo.
Oh, yes.
So first of all, kudos to Jones. He got right back up. He didn't
Yeah.
lie on the ground and roll around.
Yeah. I love the fact that our players just made Ronaldo look like a riffraff player. Like, nobody cared that this is supposed to be one of the greatest players of all time with Lionel Messi, one of the top two players in the past 10, 15 years. They just treated him like, you don't do that to us. I don't care who you are. Van Dijk gave him the chest bump.
Oh, Van Dijk gave him a legitimate chest bump.
Right.
Like not like just going up to him. Like what's his name? Robertson went up, finger right in the face.
Yeah.
And then Van Dijk, like, boom, chest bump. And then Konate just like coming in and holding off Fernandez, who was trying to get in there. Just beautiful.
Yeah. That was great. And that's one thing I think Ronaldo knows. He isn't at Madrid, where he has a bunch of thugs, having his back. The Manchester United players, they were already defeated by that point. It was except for Fernandez, there wasn't really any.
There was no fight
really,
left, and they didn't. Like at Real Madrid, if you embarrass them like this, they would want to injure you.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking to, they were jerks. I mean, look at what happened to Salah when we played them, right? Like, that was not an accident.
Agreed.
So but yeah, I mean, Ronaldo, I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I really enjoyed the fact that they made him look like a punk, but it's interesting they didn't do the same to Pogba.
No. Yeah, I think they knew that that's one of those tackles that happens all the time on the field, and unfortunately, he got caught, but there was no intent.
Which to me, I gotta say, and not that Pogba didn't deserve the red. That's a red card. Your foot is high. You made a mistake. You have to go off. But just looking at the player reactions should tell you which one's a red and which one's a yellow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, again, Liverpool were up in arms. They were talking. They were everything. They were upset. But no one went up to Pogba and chested him and yelled at him and all of that. So I'm sorry. How Ronaldo didn't get the red for that is just beyond me. But we can talk about the fifth goal. Salah finished it off nicely, but man, what a pass from Hendo.
Yeah. I mean, he fooled me. I was wondering, why you're not passing to Jota? And yeah, the fact that he even tried that pass, I'm even wondering, is that exactly what he was trying to do?
It looked like it because he used the outside of his foot.
Yeah, and he must have known that Maguire is a slow turner as well, right? So just everything about the pass was calculated. Because if that were another defender, then he would have been able to intercept it or position.
Yeah, there was a lot of thinking there because he hit it. Well, I guess the other thing, and again, I don't want to criticize De Gea because, I mean, today wasn't De Gea's fault, but one thing about De Gea that I assume they talk about in the pre-match is he does not come out. That ball, Alisson would have been on.
For sure.
And De Gea always just stays in his net.
Yeah.
So, knowing that De Gea stays in his net, knowing that Maguire can't run or turn, that's just a brilliant pass. Now, was he thinking all those things? I guess I'd like to think he was. He seems like quite a cerebral player. So maybe he really was calculating that in his head. But I mean,
it's possible that it's a play that they've created in training as well.
Yeah, because Salah and Jota took off
Hmm.
with purpose, and Hendo knew they were going. Like, it's clear he wasn't like, oh, they're going, let me pass. He looked up to see where are they. So
Yeah.
I
The other
take
thing,
your point. I bet you it was a training play that they know, like, when you steal the ball at the midfield, make the long pass.
right, and then make it with with the outside of your foot. But I wonder if the score was closer, he probably would have taken the safe pass to Jota, right? Because if that
Maybe.
ball doesn't come off, and say the game is tied or we're behind, then yeah, you have to pass it to Jota because that's the he would have still had a good opportunity to shoot or to pass it back to Salah.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it was all in all amazing game, a lot of fun. Mane coming on honestly was kind of funny because we had clearly shut it down, but Mane still wanted a goal.
Yeah.
And then by the end, it was clear Jones wanted a goal too.
Right. Yeah, in the last
So
minute.
yeah, like, honestly, it's good to see that, but it was also pretty funny. Like, well, I mean, funny for us, sad for United, where our players knew these guys are here to get taken,
Hmm.
and let's all just run up the score. So overall, I mean, did we learn anything from this game for Liverpool?
Um, did we
That
learn?
one's
We
tough.
learned. Yeah, we learned that. Actually, no, we didn't. I didn't learn anything. If I'm being honest, um, nobody in the midfield surprised me. Nobody up front surprised me. Yeah, we learned that Konate is ready. I'd say.
That was actually going to be the only thing I learned. So
Hmm.
he definitely. So I actually think this game was like super amazing, fantastic for him in like so many ways. I mean, beyond the fact that he got to play a full 90 minutes, which is great. He got to play it with Van Dijk, which is great. He got to be part of that Cristiano Ronaldo mess, which is also good for learning. Um, I actually like the fact that Ronaldo beat him because he screwed up his footwork on the goal that got called back. I
Hmm.
think you didn't get punished because VAR saved you, but you definitely realized that, you know, you need to be more spot on in certain cases.
Right.
And that'll be a good lesson. The other thing for me was when uh I mean, more towards the end of the game. I mean, the game had already been decided, but there was one moment where he was going um, against Dalot, Diago Dalot, however you pronounce his name, um,
Hmm.
and it looked like it was going to be a race, and then he had like that Van Dyke moment where he's like, you can't keep up with me, and he just lengthened his stride, and it was no longer a contest.
Yeah.
He looks like Konate looks like he's legitimately got speed.
Oh yeah. Especially over. I mean, I haven't seen him in a have to run for long distance and chase back. However, because of his long strides, he's able to just quickly recover and reposition himself. So he clearly has that. In the opening few minutes, it was also a good learning experience where he came and slid for the ball, and I don't know if he missed it or it bounced over him, but suddenly Manchester United had an opportunity.
Yeah,
So
it bounced off him, but not in control. So he
right,
basically overcommitted. And he did that actually a few times
he did that a
in the
few
game.
times. Hmm.
So again, fantastic that we didn't give up any goals. Fantastic he was part of such a fun game. And great that he made mistakes that weren't punished.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I hope that he gets the game on Wednesday as well, so that way he can have two consecutive games back to back.
But I mean, it's got to be with Gomez. You cannot play Van Dyke again. He
Of
needs a
course,
break.
yeah, yeah. There's no need as well against Preston.
God, poor Gomez. He's down to fourth on the list.
I mean, he shouldn't be surprised. We've talked about this. He needs to decide, or his advisors and the coaches, they all need to just sit down and decide he
What is he?
what his career looks like exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Is he a
has
central
something, but-
defender?
Yeah, is he a central defender? Is he a right back? Is he a midfielder? What is he?
Yeah. Agreed. It's I feel bad for him, but God, who would have thought, I mean, what was it, 2 years ago? Who would have thought he'd be fourth on the bench just ahead of Phillips?
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, again, do we even need to talk about man of the match? Obviously, it's Salah.
Yeah. Only because of his hat trick. Otherwise, I think no one player really stood out.
No, I would agree. There was, I don't know, maybe the man of the match for Liverpool was Maguire.
Ollie.
I mean, he was the most, Ollie or Maguire were the most directly responsible for this win.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes the man of the match. But yeah, no, I mean, the 3 goals for Salah, fantastic. But you're right, it was a team effort, and that's the best part. Nobody really needed to shine that much.
No. And that's usually when we're at our best.
Yeah. So I mean, great game, great feelings all around, except for Keita. If he's maybe a game or two, then that's fine. Hopefully, it's not longer. But this one's going to go down. This one's going to stay in the memory for a while. So anyway, I guess we need to not Man U has to shake it off. We get to reminisce later, but we need to focus, I guess, on Preston, and then next weekend again. Hopefully, we can keep our winning ways and keep making it look easy.
For more stories, analysis, and articles, go to theforensichook.com website.